What it do, baby? It's your boy Baki back with another one. So in order to honor Horror Month, I thought it'd be nice if we did a couple reviews for Horror Month. Every single day in October, I will be trying to cram out a review. So bear with me, and we'll try to smash them out. They won't be too long, too in depth. Just some quick, thoughts about a movie, and then we move on. Okay, let's get into it. Our first one is going to be Saw from 2004. Let's talk about it, baby. So Saw is from James Wan and Leigh Whannell, and to me is the best Saw movie that they've ever made. Not sure if that duo ever got together for the sequels, but the original Saw movie has a lot of tension in ways that the other Saw movies don't, because the killer is already known. This movie kind of plays almost like a combination of like Seven, as well as some kind of mind game situation going on. You have multiple layers of things going on that all kind of blend pretty well together by the end of the movie. You basically have two people trapped into a bathroom. They end up finding a recorder. One of the recorders tells them that they need to kill the other guy. His name's Adam. Dr. Gordon needs to kill Adam before 6 o'clock. If he doesn't, then essentially they're going to be locked inside of there and no way to get out ever, and they'll die. The plot begins to unfold from there, and then we get the movie Saw. Now, what I loved about this rewatch is what I tried to do was take myself out of what I already know about the sequels and just take this movie for what it is. And when you do that at face value, this movie holds up extremely well. I mean, incredibly well, in fact. So well that that's why I regard it as the best Saw movie. There's so many extra layers, again, that you can see in this movie that really don't exist in the later movies. The later movies have layers in the sense that they add more to them, but this movie just has layers originally to it, and every character has multiple layers to them, aside from maybe Adam, who's probably like the most shallow character in the movie, besides maybe Detective Singh or a background character. What I love about Saw is the twist at the end of the movie is not only a twist for the audience, but it's also a twist for Detective Tapp. He thought that, Danny Glover's character thought that the killer was Dr. Gordon, right? So he was so obsessed with the killer being Dr. Gordon that he decided to keep following him. And he followed him so much that he found the real Jigsaw, which was Zepp, the male nurse or practitioner at the hospital, right? What I love about it is he was so off the mark, right? He was completely wrong. He only stumbled into the right idea and still was wrong by the end of it, showing you that his detective work was sloppy and got actually pretty bad, to the point where it wasn't even good anymore, right? Once he got booted off the force, his intel became so trash that he followed one lead, and that one lead, yeah, sure, it led him to it, but only by circumstance, not really because he had the right answer. And never did he have the right answer. He died with the wrong answer. He died thinking that, the dude that he fought, at the end, essentially was Jigsaw, you know what I mean? So it has an interesting flow to it at the very end, where you see, there's like the main situation going on in the bathroom, but like everything that's happening behind the bathroom is just as intense, where everyone's trying to figure out what is going on in the world, you know what I mean? And every character played their roles amazing. Dr. Gordon, first off, did an amazing job. What I loved about him is he has a descent into madness. He starts off very calm and reassuring and almost in charge of the situation, even though the situation is completely out of his hands. You know what I mean? He sounds very in control.
Well, Adam, What we need to do is start thinking about why we're here.
But by the end of the movie, once he hears those gunshots from Zepp when he's shooting at Allison and his daughter, he completely loses it, and he's ready to do anything and everything to get out of this damn bathroom now. I need to get out of here right now. No! And I think that moment in itself was such an amazing thing to see when talking about horror, because it's one of those situations where it's not really gory, it's not crazy, it's not some elaborate trap. It's literally just him on a cell phone and unable to leave this room, hearing all of these crazy screams and everything go on as he can do nothing. He can't move from this spot. Literally, it's not he can't do anything to get out of the situation right now besides cut his own leg off. And I think that in itself was, a pretty genius way to depict tension and anxiety and fear, amongst the audience without making it extra gory or visceral or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like it really is a very tasteful way to handle horror, in my opinion. That's what this whole movie is to me. It's a very tasteful way to handle horror. I already talked about Danny Glover. You got Detective Singh. He was only in the movie for a little bit, Danny Glover's partner. But what's interesting about him is his death even has a little bit of notes that I noticed on the rewatch. So when Detective Singh is chasing Jigsaw after Danny Glover gets his throat slit, he's moving through cobwebs. Like it's like Jigsaw went to Party City and he grabbed a bunch of cobwebs, and when he grabbed all these cobwebs, he put them where the trap is. So as the detective is going through all of these cobwebs, the trap is on this foot, which probably feels like you're pulling through cobwebs anyway, right? You're at a spot that's literal cobwebs. So as you're pulling through all these cobwebs, boom, the shotgun comes down and blow, takes you out. I thought that was actually really genius. I really enjoyed that, especially on this rewatch. I think that this movie holds up extremely well. Not so sure about the other movies though. I don't know how they do, but I would definitely recommend a rewatch if you haven't done so. I'm going to be watching Saw 2 next, and then Saw 3. I don't think I'm going to do all the Saw movies, just because that's a little redundant and I'm not really the biggest fan of the later ones. But I did want to do the first 3 so I can review the newer Saw movie afterwards. So that should be up somewhere too. It'll probably come out maybe even before this one does. They'll be out though soon, I promise you. You know what I mean? If you haven't done so, make sure you hit that like button for your boy if you enjoyed this. Subscribe if you haven't, man. We want to push these out, get some horror stuff out to you guys all month. I should even be playing some horror themed games on my stream and stuff, so make sure you guys are on the lookout for that. If I had to say anything else about this movie, maybe negative, there's a couple fast forward parts where they're driving, where Danny Glover is chasing Zepp, and that part it just doesn't hold up well. But early 2000s, can't really knock it for like the fast motions and the flashy camera stuff. That was Man on Fire did the same thing with Denzel Washington. So very similar in that sense. Something else is this movie's not very like trap oriented. The bathroom, and see, this is why, like, when you look at this movie as like a solo movie, it's like perfect borderline, because you didn't know like Jigsaw was capable of those kind of traps that he does in the later movies. But in the later movies, like, his traps are super elaborate. Like, remember in 2, it's like a big ass house of like traps on traps on traps, where like 8 people, he controls like 8 or 9 people in that movie. Whereas like this movie, it's the traps you see, there's only 2 traps, right? One trap is a safe, a bunch of numbers on the wall, a candle, and some glass on the floor. And the other one is a bunch of fucking barbed wire, literally like wrapped around in a barbed wire maze. So it's like you only really see 2 traps. You really only see 2 traps in this movie, aside from the bathroom. But and Amanda too, I guess. That's 2. That's 3, huh? And they aren't as elaborate. They're much more visceral, and I guess the only elaborate one is the bathroom one, but I wouldn't even call it necessarily like a traditional saw trap. Traditional saw trap is like a timer. You got. I mean, I guess there is a timer, but usually a limited timer, and you got to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and usually you have to hurt yourself in order to progress. You know what I mean? Or you have to at least put yourself at a risk. Like the doctor technically didn't have to do that. The doctor could have just domed at him, you know? So that's the one thing that I'll say about this movie is that changed later on with the Saw movies. And I like that in this movie, it's a lot more contained where like, he just had this one idea to propel, this doctor forward and stuff. For all like that is, what propelled the doctor to do what he did in the later Saw movies. Almost is like this elaborate setup. So I really, really enjoy this movie. I definitely think it's worth the rewatch. If you haven't seen it in a while, make sure to check it out. I'll see you guys on the next one. Happy Horror Month, baby. Peace.